What's up, guys? My name is Philip Wray, and for my Theater History 1 project, I'll be constructing a dimmer light device. Now, this dimmer light device will be from the model from Nicola Sabbatini. Nicola Sabbatini was born in 1574 and died in 1654. Now, for my project, I'll be doing a how-to video on how to make Nicola Sabbatini's dimmer device. Now, first, let me give you a little background on the device. Back then, they did not, for lighting for theater, they did not have any electrical theater stuff. So they relied on candles and oil. Now, with oil, the problem with that is that with it, it would cause a lot of bad smelling. And so traditionally, candles were used in a theater because it smelled better when it was burning, unlike oil lamps. Now, for candles, they were usually put in the auditorium on the sides, but there were also candles up on the top of this stage and on the sides. But the problem was that when a performance would start, the candles would still be going. And so Nicola Sabbatini wanted to solve that issue in a way that they could cover up the candles, but not put them out. So by the end of the show, the candles would still be on, and we wouldn't have a situation where they would have to relit the lamps after they blew them out. So to do this, Nicola Sabbatini created what I would call his candle dimmer device. Now, the way I'm going to build this is that I'm going to be using, for my can or metal container, I'll be using a nice can of Chef Boyardee's, and yes, you will see me eat this. You will also need a candle. Now, the length of a candle is very important because a medium-sized or a small-sized candle is the best one to do. Using a long-sized candle will be more difficult, and you would have to use a metal container that is appropriate to the size of your candle. You also will need some form of lighter. You'll also need rope. Now, the rope will be used to help pulley. Now, unfortunately, I do not have all of the resources. While normally Nicola Sabbatini's dimmer device will be doubled or even tripled, with multiple candles, multiple containers being hooked to one pulley system. Unfortunately, I do not have those devices, so I will be making it with a one pair. Now, so I will be using rope for that. You also will need forms of screw eyes to be put in on the sides. You also will need wiring to hook onto the screw eyes to hook to the rope. So you need a bunch of wire cutters. For me, I'll be using copper wire. So lastly, I will show you the process of how to make Nicola Sabbatini's dimmer devices, and I'll be going step by step to eventually show you what the finished product would look like, and I will show you a live version of how it actually looked like and what the design looked like from Nicola Sabbatini's own book, Manual for Constructing Theater Scenes and Machines. Now, the first step is to deal with the can. Now, I chose my ravioli can just because I was hungry. But technically, you can use any form of can you want. But it's important that you choose something like a metal can, because the reason why that is metal is because it doesn't conduct heat that much. It will warm up, but will prevent fire hazards. So using something like paper or any other possible flammable object would not be used. So your can will be the most easiest and quickest trip to do it. Now, the first step to do with the can is obviously empty out its container. Rip off the label so you have a bare can. And remember, good lighting always satisfies your hunger. Hi guys, for the next step, while you wait for your can to clean, or if it's already clean, you are going to need to take one of these screw eyes and take a length of copper, or it can be any other, whatever you choose to be. It could be rope, it could be string, and you take it and you hook it in the hole. Make sure it's a good length, and then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start twisting it. Just tightens it up, that way it will not fall. Now, in real life, what Nicola used is that he used rope for what I'm using for the wiring. Now, as for what I'm using this for, normally it would be hooks that would be attached to the drums. Depending on the size of the candles, normally they would use either a miniature drum or something of that form, depending on the size of it. Now, as for this, the wiring or string, wherever you use, it doesn't really matter what length it is. It is up to you to decide. But you need to find a good length and make sure to be consistent with each four. And then once you're done, then you can move on to the next step. Now for step 3, what we're going to do is, now I've already added the hooks to the already for the other 3, but I'm going to show you how to do the last one. Now when you're doing this, you need to be careful, especially when you're using a metal can, to not cut yourself. And so what you need to do is, to be able to get the little screw eye in, is that you're going to have to make a hole using some form or knife. So you need to be careful when you're doing this for obvious reasons. But also be very gentle, because you don't want to make a huge hole in the can and then the screw doesn't work. So my recommended technique is to slowly just take the knife and just slowly just start making a circle, but put a little pressure on it. But now, how they did this in real life is that they used probably most likely a similar thing, but again, in real life, depending on the size of the candle, they use a small drum or something. And then once you make the little indenture, like I did, you want to take the screw and just slowly get that in. Now it's interesting just to see the way that they did this system compared to how we do now. Because in real life, we now use the electrical dimmers. We use light switches to slowly take them down. But back then, candles, you didn't get that option. So this was the only option that Nicola made, which was very effective. And once you have all 4 in, this is what it should look like. Now I'll show you to the next step. Hi guys, for step 4, what we're going to do is that we're going to take all the ends of the can, of the copper ends, and we're going to tie them together to one focal point, one string. And that is going to be the end where we're going to end up hooking the rope that we use to pull. Now in real life, what they use is, since they were using ropes to where the places I'm using copper, they would tie off at this end with the other rope that they would use to pull for the pulley system. Once you have all the wiring binding together, make sure you use a wire cutter to clip any excess wiring that is sticking out. And there you go, the step. And now for the last step. So this is where I will be using rope, which in real life, this is when they would still be using rope at this time. Now to do this, you're going to need to do really whatever knot you feel will be the most secure, but the knot needs to be secure, because if not, it's going to fall and it's not going to be good. But once you do whatever knot you feel is necessary, it should tighten up and it should hold on. And then when you have your rope secure, you're free to test it out. As I discovered when I was doing this, is also make sure that with your can that you cut both sides out. You can use a can opener or other methods, but make sure that the lid is off. That way it can go through. And now to show it off in action. Now usually the candles would have already been lit by someone in the theater. Now, to simulate the pulley system that the device would usually have, I'm using my ceiling lamp. And so, once the signal came that the show is about to begin, this is going to dim the candle lights that would normally be out in the theater. Whoever was working would slowly descend the metal container over the candle, and then the audience would now be dark, while the candles on the stage would be lit. And then when the signal would come that the show is over, they would come in and they'll pull the container over, and now the audience is lit again, and the audience knows to go home. Now, normally what they would do in a situation to make sure that when they had the container down, that it wouldn't fall all the way, they would usually tie it off onto something, and then it would hang there until the end of the show, and they would come back, and then they would pull it up. So, in short, that's how you make Nicola Sabbatini's dimmer effect. Now, it's very interesting just to see how something like lighting with dimming has changed. Back then, this was their only option. Now, we have a whole electrical system to do it. Now it's changed, but that's with time always changes. So hopefully this how-to has lightened up your day.